Today I want to revise this old painting that's just been sitting around. I don't really like it, and it's time for a refresh. So we're going to play around with some collage elements, and I have on Patreon for all my members a sculpture pack of collage fodder. And if you print it on some thin Japanese paper, it will go transparent with your encaustic. So today, let's dive in. We're gonna be inspired by the Odyssey here, do some classical Greek sculpture, and play with some encaustic collage. So first up, we need to refresh this surface by painting a layer of encaustic wax over it. This doesn't have any kind of cold wax finish, so I'm not worried about fusing. However, if you have a really bumpy surface, you might want to heat it up a little bit, scrape it down, and then start with your encaustic layer on top of that. And I just want to mess up the surface, cover it up, get a whole bunch of collage on here. I've got some encaustic monoprints I'm cutting up that are printed on Evelyn paper, some rag paper, some interesting handmade papers. The papers right now are a little thick, so we are going to put a couple of coats of encaustic medium on it, use it well, scrape it back, and get a nice smooth surface so that we can start laying on the bigger pieces. As always, if you are doing encaustic collage, you have to have wax in between each layer of the paper. You can't have paper against paper. So paper, you can do a whole layer as long as it's not overlapping, wax, and then paper on top. I added some color here. Sorry it was off camera, but I just felt like I needed to unify the layer here. So we're gonna fuse this down, get it into all the nooks and crannies, and level out this surface. Another layer of wax on top, and we are scraping down now. I used a loop tool first, and then I'm going in with my razor blade to take off smaller layers. I like working with the razor blade. It leaves a really nice finish in my opinion, and it just takes off a little bit at a time so you can get a nice smooth layer without getting any gouges. And I'm gonna put this watercolor scrap here. I want a piece of brightness so that my sculpture will pop. The paper I printed on is going to go fairly transparent with the encaustic. If it's on dark, it's not going to show up as well as I want it to. So lots of burnishing, get it in there, make sure there's no air bubbles underneath the paper. If there are, it's an easy fix. You just poke some holes in it, burnish it down more. Another layer of wax, fusing, and here I've got a monoprint, an encaustic monoprint that was done on some Japanese calligraphy paper, and I'm going to trim it. If I have a piece of paper that's going full panel on my paintings, I will trim it just like a little 1/8 of an inch edge so that I've got wax going over the edge. I know some artists will wrap the cradle, but I don't particularly like to do that. I know that I'm going to probably finish the edges of this panel with a little oil stick to like blend in any weird collage cuts. So we're going to trim all the edges. And once they're trimmed, I just leave the ruler on there, and since it's burnished, the edges will just come right off. And then we're going to burnish some more. Make sure those edges are in there really nicely flat, and fuse. Another coat of encaustic medium, and more fusing. And now it's time to put our sculpture print on here. And I've got it positioned so his body's underneath that watercolor piece. And we're going to burnish. Burnish, burnish, burnish. And then trim again. And burnish some more. And then we're going to fuse it in first before I put the wax on. This allows me, if I don't like it, to heat it up and reposition it. Once you put the wax on, you can still do it. It's just a little bit more destructive. And I want him to be looking at something, so I'm putting in a little constellation of gold leaf stars here. I'm burnishing them in. And then I go in with an X-Acto knife and refine the shape. They weren't laying flat enough, so I brought in my little clover iron in to really get them embedded into the wax without covering them with wax. And it's just looking a little bit meh for me, so we're coming in with some oil stick on top. And we're gonna add some drama to the sky here, give it some depth, give it some darkness. Bring out some of the monoprint that's underneath it, bring some of those colors forward. And it kind of looks like the American flag, funny enough. Wasn't my intention. I hope you have fun with these classical sculptures. I'd love to see what you do. Share them on Patreon in the comments.